Houston, we have a problem. We're going behind enemy lines for West Virginia's matchup with the Houston Cougars coming up this Saturday. We've got you covered here on Mountaineer Moment. This is the Mountaineer Moment, your source for all things West Virginia football and basketball. From pregame to postgame coverage and breaking news, we've got you covered. Let's go. Episode 62 of Mountaineer Moment is going to be a feature episode on the Houston Cougars and what they bring to the table as we go behind enemy lines. Welcome to the Mountaineer Moment. My name's Troy. We've got you covered on all things West Virginia football and basketball. The Mountaineers fell during homecoming weekend in a close game, closer than many expected, 23-17 at home for the Coal Rush against TCU, and just like that, they'll be back out on the road again. That was their first home game in about a month, and now they're hitting the road again to head to Houston for a matchup with the Houston Cougars, who are certainly the surprise team in the Big 12 and certainly one of the surprises in all of college football this season. Houston comes into the matchup at 7-1 and 4-1 in conference play. They're in the AP poll now at 22. And so we're going to talk about them and what they bring to the table, how they've been able to find success this season, how they got here. I'm going to give you some numbers to know for this Houston squad, and we'll have you covered with all that opponent preview behind enemy lines here on Mountaineer Moment. Please consider subscribing to the Mountaineer Moment movement, and we'd be happy to have you join this little community here. Leave a comment, subscribe, hit that like button, whatever platform you're on, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, YouTube. I love interacting in the comment section, so please keep that going, and we'll keep this Mountaineer Moment going here covering West Virginia football and basketball. So Houston, how in the world did they get here? How in the world is this team that was projected to finish at the bottom of the Big 12 or near the bottom of the Big 12, how are they fighting for a chance at going to Dallas to win a Big 12 conference championship game? Like, how are they still in the mix for that as the calendar turns to November? Well, here's how they got here. So they opened up non-conference. They got wins against Stephen F. Austin, Rice, and Oregon State. And in Big 12 play, they are 4-1. Their lone loss has come against a very good, obviously very good Texas Tech team who only has one loss on the season themselves. But that one loss, we're going to detail that, then we'll talk about some of the good, obviously, from this team. But that one loss against Texas Tech was not a rude awakening, right, because they've recovered with 3 straight wins since then. But that was they got punched in the mouth, let's say that. At home against Texas Tech, 35-11, Houston lost. And I pulled up just some numbers from that one because they got completely dominated. If you remember back, I think it was October 4th. Yep, October 4th. They got dominated, did Houston. Texas Tech, obviously, currently 7-1, ranked 13th in the country themselves. But Texas Tech put up 552 total yards of offense in that matchup against Houston, and Houston had just 267. The Achilles heel, or maybe a couple of the stats of the game for Houston in this one, they converted just one of their 12 third down attempts. That's not going to get the job done. And then they had 3 turnovers in this one. So 35-11, outgained by nearly 300 yards of offense on their home field against a really, really obviously impressive Texas Tech team this season. We know what they did through the portal and recruiting and with NIL and all that, and it's paying off for Texas Tech. It doesn't always pay off for every single team, but it's paying off for Texas Tech this season, as they're ranked 13th in the country. So that's their only loss. That's the only blemish on the schedule so far for this Houston team that, again, is shocking the nation, shocking the Big 12, certainly, and looking to keep that thing rolling with 4 games to go. Next up on their schedule is the West Virginia Mountaineers coming to town to play them. So since that loss, though, we'll talk about who they've been since then, and then get into some numbers for you to know in this one. So since that loss, they have picked up wins in 3 straight games, Arizona and Arizona State, the most recent, and also picked up a win against Oklahoma State in that stretch. And before that game, they beat Colorado. But here's where they are now in the AP poll, ranked at 22 coming in. They just knocked off Arizona State last week, who was ranked 24th coming into their matchup. So they took care of business in that one, and here they are. Houston Cougars. Who would have thought? Who would have thought, right? I think you think about preseason and all that and how silly it is because, as Mountaineer fans, we're circling this one as like a winnable game or maybe one you think you should win. And now it's one you're certainly not favored to win and would be a surprise if you did win. And, that's only, 2 months ago, right? You're thinking, all right, well, you got UCF, you got Houston. Those are games we should win. And not saying we can't and not saying that, again, you didn't put forth a better performance against TCU because you did. But now you're staring at this one as a double-digit underdog, and it's like, whoa, okay. Who would have thought that 2 months ago? But here we are. I mean, shout out to the Houston football program and what they've been able to do under Willie Fritz, in this season. So 7-1, 4-1 in conference play. And here's a few numbers for you to know. 18.6 is one number I'm going to give you. All right, I got 4 numbers for you in this Behind Enemy Lines episodes. Number 1 is 18.6. That's the amount of points that Houston is giving up defensively through the course of their first 8 games. That ranks them as 5th in the Big 12 in that department, just 18.6 points per game given up to opposing offenses, and that tells the tale of how they've gotten to where they are so far this season. Good defensive play, allowing just 18.6 points per game. Here's a fun one that I was able to do some research on, do some math on, that I think is a fun one and a significant number. 58.6. 58.6. That is the percentage of receiving yards that belong to just 2 players on this Houston team. Amari Thomas and Tanner Kozoil. If I'm pronouncing that right, I don't even know. Tanner Kaziel, I don't know. 58.6% though, I do know that is the total receiving yards that have been gained by just those 2 players, receiver and a tight end. They've been major contributors to Houston's offense all season. In another episode coming this week, I'm going to break them down a little bit more and just how potent they have been, just how important they have been to, touchdowns, receptions, yards, everything. They are the 2 weapons by far. 58.6, almost 60% of yardage gained through the air has been by one of those 2 players. Okay, so keep an eye on Amari Thomas and Tanner Kaziol. All right, I think I got it that time. I think I got it. Kaziol. Major contributors, guys to watch. All right, third number I'm going to give you in this Behind Enemy Lines episode breaking down the Houston Cougars is the number 8. So Texas A&M transfer quarterback Connor Wigman has 8 rushing touchdowns this season, 354 yards on the ground. Last week against Arizona State, he carried the ball a lot. Season high 21 times, I think a season high in yardage, 111, and then 2 touchdowns on the ground for him. Mountaineers this season obviously have played against some dual threat quarterbacks, and Wigman's going to be another one that they have to keep an eye on with what he can do. A transfer from Texas A&M who saw action in their previous 3 seasons, numerous starts and all that, and now he's here at Houston. Rejuvenating this team and doing something with his career that's been pretty special this season. So 8 is the number there, and that is how many rushing touchdowns this Houston quarterback has through the team's first 8 games. Those receiver and tight end, Kaziol and Thomas that I mentioned earlier, they're also transfers this season. So they also come in from elsewhere. The tight end comes from Ball State, where he had an impressive career, I think through 2 or 3 seasons there. And then Amari Thomas, 2 seasons at UAB before finding a home in Houston. And look at the production that they're putting forward in year number 1 in Houston. Transfers that are getting the job done for a team that's ranked 22nd in the country and in contention for a Big 12 conference title. So that's incredible. Last number I'm going to give you on this brief Behind Enemy Lines episode breaking down Houston is the number 4. Number 4. We mentioned that Houston defense a minute ago, who's given up just 18.6 points per game. And one of the main reasons they've been able to do it as of late, and the success that they've had as of late, is because of this defensive front that they have. So in a 3-point win, 31-28 against Arizona a couple weeks ago, and an 8-point win against the 24th ranked Arizona State ball club, they won 24-16 in that one on the road, by the way, against a ranked opponent. So a ranked win on the road, never something to complain about for Houston. And what they've been able to do in both of those games, they were able to have 4 sacks in each of them. So that's the number 4 here. 4 sacks against Arizona, 4 sacks against Arizona State, a ranked team on the road, and that helped them get it done. Eddie Walls, defensive lineman, number 90, had a breakout game in that one. 3 of the 4 sacks belonged to him to go along with 3 TFLs. So he was a monster. Keep an eye on him this Saturday afternoon as well. All right, that does it for this episode of Mountaineer Moment Behind Enemy Lines, talking about the Houston Cougars, and we'll have plenty more content coming your way as we count down to kickoff on Saturday from Houston at noon kick Eastern Time, and a game that's going to be shown on FS1. Be on the lookout for more episodes. Hit that subscribe button so you don't even have to look, because it's just going to come to you, because we got more stuff coming your way about this football team, about the basketball program as they get set to tip things off next week, and we'll continue to have our preview, week-long preview of Houston and West Virginia this Saturday. We'll see you next time on Mountaineer Moment.